Well, I'm being specific when I say that this is my second posting or podcast, video vlog, and I want to be specific because I want people to know that the importance of this one also as well. This one is with one of the most important persons in my life, and this is my bestest friend in the whole wide world, my sister for over a million years, Mahalia Priestley Dean. You noticed I left the middle name out, right?
You're so good to me. Thank you. You're kind. What's up, bro?
And I just want to thank you for being a part of this new venture, this new adventure and walk that I'm taking, this challenge, this newness, and posting this, what I started out to be just an e-magazine, just an e-book. That's all I was going to do. But something about it and the timing of just how everything came about made it this. And then, having this studio open at the specific time is just timing. You just can't miss timing and just how God does things. So this is Triumphant Living Magazine. And it's a magazine where you talk about the trials and the tribulations that brought you to this place and how you successfully made it through. Hard, takes your breath away with some of the things that you've been through, but you're still here. Yeah. And you look wonderful. Aww. And I just wanted to take this time to give you an opportunity just to tell your story, and so that somebody else that's out there that will listen to this will know that there's another side to it, and you can make it to the other side, and people are making it through our situations. And this podcast will show and be heard in the month of October. And I specifically chose this month for you because it's breast cancer awareness. And you are one of my favorite survivors. I appreciate you for surviving because it takes you to want to survive.
Absolutely.
And, to do whatever is necessary. That doesn't mean that those who have passed from it did not want to survive.
Right.
But I appreciate you for surviving and for fighting as hard as you did. And, we have so many that we honor that did not make it triumphantly through this side, but they made it triumphantly through another side.
That's right.
So it was what year that you made that phone call to me and told me?
Oh, God. It was November of 2009.
Yep.
It was exactly 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And I had just gotten out of a leadership meeting at work. And so just to kind of rewind a little bit, I had my mammogram. No, let me rewind even some more. So I had my annual
right,
with my OBGYN, and I was literally almost out the door when my nurse Peggy, the best ever in the business, she ran down the corridor and she said, "Wait a minute, you've got to come back. We've got to schedule your mammogram." And I said, "Oh, okay." And looking back now, in the moment it was a okay, but had she not gotten to me,
right, it would have been.
Or had she not remembered that, oh my gosh, we have to get your mammogram scheduled, it could have been an entirely different story.
Right.
So we went back, we got it scheduled, and I went in that October to do my routine mammogram. And this particular examination, obviously you don't go in there thinking anything is going to be crazy, but I remember them taking image after image after image after image, and what was supposed to be maybe a 20-minute visit turned out to be almost 45 minutes. And when they said to me, "Okay, we're going to ask you to go and get dressed and then have a seat in the radiologist's office," everything in my gut was trying to suppress the fact that no, this is not bad news. They just want you to have a seat because there's no more room anywhere else to sit.
Mm.
And I went, and the radiologist came in and greeted me, and he said, okay, let me just kind of explain what I see. And so he did, and he said, let's not jump to any type of conclusions. Let's get a biopsy done, because my youngest daughter had just turned 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said it could have been a lot of milk in your, milk ducts full.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not even go there with that. Trying to do everything to reassure me, don't worry about it. So we went and had the biopsy done. And so that day when I came out the leadership meeting, it was the call from the results of the biopsy. And when I came out, I realized I had a message, and the message was, hi, this is Dr. So-and-so from Charlotte Radiology, and we just wanted to call to give you your biopsy results. Give us a call as soon as you can, and the number. So you hear something like that, I'm like, oh.
Sounding all happy, all
not a problem.
deceptive, right?
I went on to another meeting. I did. I went on to another meeting, and I said, when I come back, I'll answer all my calls, including that one. So I did, came into my office and closed the door and made the phone call. And she got on the phone and she said everything in that chipper tone, and then the phone went silent. She said, and I hate that I have to do this over the phone, but now by law, I cannot wait for you to come into the office. So I said, you hate that you have to do what? And she started talking about all these big fancy words, and I felt like Charlie Brown underwater. It was just like womp, 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 womp. And I remember just with a sick feeling in my stomach, just blurting it out. And I said, so what are you saying? And she says, you have breast cancer. And in the moment, I lost it. That's real. I could not get it together. And my team, who knew I was waiting for these results, they were standing outside my office. So when I finally got myself together, I could just see them standing on the walls. Some of them were crying, some of them heads were down. And I just had to go pick up my youngest daughter and go home. I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything else. And so that was November of 2009. So we fast forward now to February of 2010, which was my scheduled surgery. Unfortunately, the way that the cancer cells were, they could not do a lumpectomy.
Okay.
They had to go what I call the drastic route. And remember, this is 10 years back, so it wasn't as easy for women to just elect to go ahead and do a full mastectomy. But my doctor, she said, Mahalia, I would not do that. She says, because the cells are scattered. It looked like when you looked at it on the big screen, it looked like fireworks. It looked like white spots everywhere.
Wow.
And so she said it would entail way too many lumpectomies, mini lumpectomies. And she says, you're still young. You're 41. She says, just no. And I remember that appointment when she told me that. I just lost it again. And I said, this is going from bad to worse. I mean, this is like the worst news ever. But I wanted to say something. I wanted to, right here, just honor my husband, Ronald Dean, your brother.
My brother.
Who, it was the very last exam before the surgery, and my oncologist saw what she said to me was depression in my eyes. Not necessarily in my face, but in my eyes. And she said to me in a joking way, what's wrong? And then she said, I already know that answer, but I'm asking it anyway. What's wrong? And she said, I don't want you to tell me cancer is wrong. And I know that, but what's wrong? And I sat there, and it was like I was still dumbfounded.
Right.
And I broke down again.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron was sitting on a chair in the room. And I said, he's going to leave me. He's just going to leave me because I'm going to be a freak. He's going to leave me. And it shocked him so bad. He was like, what are you talking about? Oh, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Now, this is going to make everybody laugh. And he got up, and I guess because in the moment he was embarrassed. He was like, babe, I'm not going to leave you. Why would you say something like that? And in the moment he goes, oh, my God, I would never leave you. First of all, I'm a butt guy. I'm not a boobs guy. I'm a butt guy. And so that's been our running joke for these last 10 years. Sorry, audience, but
no apologies.
And so we went through that surgery, which was supposed to be 8 hours. It was 13 hours and 56 minutes.
Yes, I remember.
And it tried to kill my poor husband waiting.
And we were harassing him.
Yes.
It's
Like what's going on?
I know he was like, if you call me one more time.
He almost slowly lost his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, you need to share your perspective,
right?
Through this journey. But anyway, fast forwarding, day 4 in the hospital post-surgery, the pathology results were back in. And I guess everybody has figured out by now, I just cry easy, right? That's just how I'm wired. And my oncologist called and she says, hopefully you're not in a lot of pain. And I said, I'm not too bad. And she said, okay, we've got those reports back. And with cancer, the lymph nodes have to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want any type of anything as it relates to your lymph nodes, because then things can get a little out of control fast. And she says, well, as it relates to your lymph nodes, they're all clear. And in the midst of that news, I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. And then I heard, however. And I could feel the tears welling up again. Mm-hmm. And she said, but there were invasions. Now, remember, from when we actually was diagnosed, they said we caught this early.
Right.
To now there were invasions. And looking back, amazingly, there were 9 confirmed areas of invasion. And
explain invasions for those that may not understand.
So where it goes outside of the area, so it can really do damage if it actually gets into your organs,
your
obviously,
and
your major organs. That's what kills people even faster. And so she said they were
started out
exactly, and I just lost it again. And thank God for my youngest brother who was in the room visiting.
Yeah.
Leighton was there, and he was just like, he was like, Mel. And so he's there talking to the oncologist, and he was like, Mel, she wants to talk to you again. And so I'm like, and she was like, Dean? And I said, yes, doctor. She goes, are you okay now? Because you didn't let me finish the end of the sentence. And she said, calm down. We got it all. And it was a good call to do that mastectomy. Right. She said, because that's where it was. And I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home.
Just want it to all be over.
I want this bad dream to be over. But thank God, fast forwarding to February of 2020 will be 10 years. God almighty. Cancer-free. I've been able to really share my story. And one thing that I've learned, it's easy to say the casual words of I understand, because that's kind of what we say as people, like, or even, I got this a lot, I can only imagine. And I remember one day I heard that one time too many, and I looked at someone and I said, no, you can't. Right. And so when I talk to individuals who have dealt with cancer, and I look them in their eyes and I say,
I know exactly.
I can only imagine.
Right.
because I've been in those shoes, and so I understand. I understand all the emotional drainage
Right.
that comes with it, right? And shout out to caregivers who are there, because people don't understand. They go through it just as much, and in some cases it's even harder, because it's hard when you're on that side with quote unquote perfect health,
Right.
and you're taking care of people that you love, that you see, that
Right.
really, like you said before, some of our dear friends that you and I both know have transitioned on to heaven, and tried to fight,
And fought the
tried
best
to
that they
fight
could.
to
I
the
promise
very
you,
end.
we saw the fight.
But I just thank God for 10 years. I don't know. Next year's a lot of milestones. It's our 25th anniversary, and it's the 10-year cancer free. So, I'm just really, really grateful, because when you get news like that in your early 40s,
Right.
you just don't know some days. You don't know where this is going to go, how this is going to turn out. But I do remember one prayer that I said to the Lord. I said, Lord, I really just want to see my girls grow up. Remember, Madison was one. I just had a baby for all intents and purposes, And Rayanne just started kindergarten. And so I was like, this can't be. And even Ronnie was like, you can't leave me.
Right.
There's no way possible I can do this. So we all fought. It was everybody.
There.
I mean, oh my God, we had prayer.
I got in the van and drove down.
I know you did. Shoot, he's like, I need to see
I
my
need
friend.
to see my friend's face.
I mean, we had people praying from across the international waters, from every state in the United States of America, just like, Lord, spare her life. And so I'm really doing my best now to really just be an encouragement to women, to men, to children, to families who are in this fight. Because it's a fight. It's a fight, really, And I want to say to those that are in it, in the thick of it right now, fight. It really is your will. Do everything in your power. And when God has the final say, then he has the final say. But you partner with God and fight like you are fighting for the Willy Wonka chocolate factory golden ticket. You fight.
Lord have mercy. So what was your process of reconstruction? What avenue did you choose
So
for that?
It was where they used my own natural body tissue to reconstruct. And that was part of my agony for weeks until, my oncologist explained the whole procedure, because I really thought that I was leaving the hospital looking like a freak. And in the surgery, they did everything. That was part of the reason why the surgery went from 8 hours to almost 14.
Yes.
Right. And so they creatively took tissue from my lower stomach area and created a breast, and people would be like, why did you go that route? Aren't you nervous that there could be anything in those? And they do full body scans and they test and everything, and there was everything all clear.
Right.
And so I just didn't like the Jell-O effect of the implants. And
Right. Yeah. I mean, because they come with their own issues and situations,
absolutely.
and having to take some out.
Absolutely.
I've had
Years
people
later.
have to take them out
And
because
redo.
they're leaking or whatever the case may be. And
Yeah.
if you can do the natural way, then
it's a
that's
process.
better.
The healing process was very long. Than if I did just have implants, because
Why was that the way you chose?
I didn't like the Jell-O feel
the gel.
because they let you actually feel it, and I was like, no, this is not my life. I can't And like I said, my baby was 1, so I was nursing up until all of
Yeah.
this news. So, they'd already started to sag anyway. So I was like, yeah, nah, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. And so,
One up, one down. Right?
yeah. So I was like, if you can work them out, that would be appreciative. And so you got to laugh to keep from crying, I tell you. So that's the reason why we chose that route, and coupled with the fact that my doctor said I was still young and very healthy. She said, go for it. So we went for it, and I must say, thank God, no major challenges. Every now and again, the whole weird feeling, but I know it's still all natural. It's not like, anything that they would have to, like you said, remove and try again, things like that. So, yeah.
So when do you for your checkups, what is your process for?
So they only do the left and not the right. There's no need to do the right.
I don't understand.
Yeah, they don't do the right because
it's
not really breast tissue.
But it's still tissue.
Yeah, they don't do that one. As a matter of fact, I can't even take my blood pressure on my right side. So everything on my right side is now a big X. I can't do blood pressure on my right side. Everything has to be done on my left. So, listen, 10 years later, thank you. Hello.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's still the
So I tell you what,
tissue,
I
right?
will ask
Yeah.
my next one, just to be asking. But I feel that if there was need to check, I think medicine and technology by now would have, red flag would have been up. We're going to go back and do them again. And so,
what was your what medications did you have to take, and what was your process medical?
So thank God, because of the extensive type of surgery I had, and because they caught everything. With the levels, I can't remember all of it now. They were low enough that I did not need chemo.
Okay.
And so my radiation was through medicine. So I orally took radiation pills instead of going.
And how many years did you?
5 years and 2 months to be exact. And I remember the day. So for some people, they ring the bell. So it was kind of that same day for me. And what it was, my primary oncologist, who I've been seeing now for the whole cycle, she says, well, you're now going to see Dr. So-and-so. And I was like, why?
It's been 10
She's
years.
like, it's been 5 years.
Oh, 5 years. At 5 years.
And it's all in your system. Every time you come, we've been checking your blood work, and your numbers are fantastic. And I'm like, but I don't want to leave you. I don't want to go to anyone else. And if I may, I just want to just dedicate everything I just said in honor and in memory of Dr. Teresa Flippo, who did pass away, my oncologist. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
On that note, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was some news then, yes. But just to kind of shout out conversations that I've had with my brother, talking to Ronnie, and even through this process, one of the conversations that we had and just had not too long ago was his testimony and him talking about it, and sometimes the guilt that he feels because his wife survived, but we have friends that their wives or their husband did not survive, and he's like, well, what do I have to say? And I'm like, you have everything to say, because you're still a survivor yourself, even to be able to talk about it and to be an example of it, and how as a husband and a caretaker to work through that process and still make it on the other side and be together, because you see so many families break up from situations
we
like
know
this.
people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But let me add, though, there is something very real called survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
And
And it happens in a lot of different situations,
Absolutely.
car accidents,
Absolutely.
such.
And if people feel that they are almost drowning in survivor's guilt, it is the best thing to see a therapist,
Yeah.
to get some professional help, because you can't park there, you can't get stuck there,
Right.
because like you said, there's more living and there's more life in you for purpose and for a
Right.
reason, you
Right.
know. And so, yeah.
And for this magazine and this time, this is one of those situations where I want people to be able to celebrate surviving and celebrate making it through the transition. And it's not always that you made it through with life after it. Sometimes you made it through and that person did pass, but you're still here.
Yeah.
And you're the survivor of all of that. And you still have a testimony. You
Yeah.
still have something to say. You still have a way to reach people, because there are different situations in everything.
Yeah.
Some make it, some don't. But whoever is still surviving that,
Yeah.
there's still a testimony
Yeah.
in it. And you just have to find that triumphant life
Yeah.
after it all. And to realize that it's worth, your story is worthwhile and it's worth
Absolutely.
hearing.
Absolutely.
And it's worth celebrating. I run into too many people who hide their stories, and I don't know why you're embarrassed for being a survivor. It makes no sense to me. Embarrassed for, some people are embarrassed for the things that they've had to survive and don't want to tell their story. Before this whole magazine comes to a head, I'm going to tell my whole story.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you've survived.
I've survived
a
some
lot.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean it. I have survived some
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
some stuff I'm in right now, but I'm surviving it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tell it, and
Yeah.
it'll be to help somebody else, because
A
somebody else
blessing.
is there.
Absolutely.
Somebody else is there,
Absolutely.
and they need to know that it's survivable. You don't have to lose it. You don't have to give up.
Right.
You have to know that there is another side of it, and you can come out.
We're from the same church, Bethel Gospel Tabernacle.
Right.
And Mother Owita Harrison, I will never forget, one of her life's motto was each one reach one. And she was just adamant about whatever it is that you can be a testimony to
Right.
somebody. You reach that one.
You reach that one, even if it's just that one.
Absolutely.
Reach that
Absolutely.
one.
Yep.
And one of the things that we're celebrating with you is the fact that you have a new book,
I do.
and it's called "You Can't Run with Weights." And not only do you have a new book, but you're also doing Facebook Lives
Yeah.
with
No
No
Weights
Weights
Wednesday.
Wednesdays
Right.
at 1:45
1:45.
p.m.
Yes.
Facebook Live with Mahalia Dean,
Yes.
and you No Weights Wednesday. But we want to talk about the book.
Okay.
And what actually brought you to the place of writing that book? I mean, you've had testimony after testimony after testimony and things that you've been through, but what got you to the place where you birthed a book?
Well, it was during a season of great pain, unfortunately. And you think going through cancer was a lot.
Right.
Um,
I'm like, the book didn't come out of that?
no, not at all.
So what made that happen?
So when you invest your life with people and it seems as if you don't get that return on investment, if there was a coin
Right.
phrase, or just even to celebrate doing other things, like you pour in, you help, you're there,
You're working.
you're doing it all, you know. And one of the things we found out, there's nothing wrong with helping to push others to their dreams.
Right.
It can become heartbreaking when it seems like you're ready to fulfill yours and you don't get that
Same support.
reciprocated. And so it hurt in ways that for almost 2 months I would go to sleep crying and wake up crying.
Wow.
And it kept going until the morning, which I say finally came. And I was standing in front of the mirror and I looked like a raccoon. That's how much crying had been going on. Because there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of tears. And it was as if the Lord said to me, how long are you going to carry this weight? And not long after, I just took pen to paper. But what's interesting about even that morning, and as I started to write, God just really let me look at life in a whole different perspective. I say from a different set of lenses. And so where I went through that and it was hurtful, it was almost as if he carved this skylight. He said, but let's just look at you for a minute too.
Okay.
And so it was like peeling back some things that I had been struggling with. And it could have been to why I couldn't handle the crisis at that time.
Okay.
So 2 things in particular. One was low self-esteem.
Okay.
Where people go through low self-esteem differently. And where some people they just down themselves and I'll never, I can't, woe is me. Then there's another set where they feel like they just need the validation from people. That was where I was at. That was the street I was down. So I dealt with that, and I just started writing, and I just started reflecting, and I was like, wow, for some decades. And God showed me that was a weight, that was like this heaviness. And if you think of a weight, even the weights in the gym, right? As small as the 3-pound dumbbells are to the huge ones that they use in the Olympics. If you attach it to your feet, even the smallest one, and you try to run, your forward momentum is not
the same.
The same. And so, it's not a 3-pound weight versus a 500-pound weight. It's the weight.
Right.
It's whatever it is that holds you back from moving forward at a stride that God has already intended for you to move at.
Right.
And so he took me down low self-esteem block, and we had to talk about that, and he had to show me some things, and it was like, whoa. And then he took me down fear street, and how sometimes we let fear keep us back. I mean, I'm in this studio with my best friend, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You better do you. Shout out, I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud. And one of the quotes that I have in the book, I remember writing, and it was like the Lord kind of put it in my spirit, and I was like, ooh, that's good. Fear will keep you from the entitlement of enjoying what's on the other side.
Right. Absolutely.
Fear.
Exactly. Right.
Right? Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't think I could ever get in a plane. Well, you'll never go to Hawaii. And you'll never experience the amazement of someplace like Hawaii, right? And so just fear. And the last one was unforgiveness. And I struggled with that for a long time. And not that I'm 100%, but I realized that unforgiveness hurts me too. It's the same kind of weight. Because what you do is you keep replaying that broken record, and you can't get on to the next song. And it's like, you don't hear that?
Right.
That sounds like noise.
Skipping, right.
You just like to listen to noise?
Exactly. And you don't realize that some of the things you have to just forgive.
Absolutely.
And the hardest thing that I have learned how to do when it comes to forgiveness, and I promise you it took every ounce of everything within me, is to forgive when you haven't even asked to be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And you just going on with life like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
ask for forgiveness from that one for what?
Right.
And you have to forgive because you got to do it for you.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't forgive, you either go one way or another. If you're dealing in an area where you're just not that strong of a person, that can bring you to suicide.
Absolutely.
Through that whole depression thing. And then if you're a person like me,
I would have to be like,
this
is Medea coming to see Rosalind.
You have to work on
Medea.
forgiveness so you're not homicidal, right?
I keep telling you, orange is not your color.
No. It may be my favorite, but it is not the color.
Not the jumpsuit.
You
can't do the jumpsuit, friend. No, you can't do
jumpsuit.
it.
I'm more than a number. More than a number.
Yes.
But yeah, you have that one thing about forgiveness. And when I tell you many nights of crying, because you know my story and you know my level of how I've been betrayed, and not one phone call of "you all right? I didn't mean it. This happened, that happened. It was a whole lot of lies." Unforgiveness.
Yeah.
If I still lived on that street, I would not be in this studio right now.
Right. Absolutely. And you have to get to a place where you realize, okay, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for you.
Right.
That's one of the things I said in the book. And, sometimes I think with unforgiveness, it can be cultural, depending on where you come from. But I thank God for my sweet mom, my sweet mother.
I love her.
She said, Mahalia, you there worrying about them people, and them people in their bed fast asleep. They ain't worrying about you.
They ain't worrying about you at all.
And at the time when she would say, it would sound comical, it would sound funny, but when you think about it, it's like
they are.
People move right on.
They could care less.
Okay.
And that's when you talked about that entitlement, that sense of entitlement that some people have. That
right. Yeah. And so what happens? Mm-hmm. Do you go to your grave with purpose and destiny still inside of you because you were waiting for an apology?
Right. If I can give a shout out to Dr. Miles Monroe. And, we used to go and see them all the time.
Grand Bahama.
That's right. And our friend Ann Peterson would have us in. You were there one year when we were at the dance conference?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and Dr. Miles Monroe, he said, go to your grave empty.
Yes.
That was one of the things that always stuck with me with him. He would always say, go to your grave empty.
Because the cemeteries are
full of purpose, full of coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Full of them.
Full.
And the things that he would say to myself and Renitha, and he would always tell us, read my books so that you can find out your purpose. And I've read a lot of his books, just listening on purpose and praise and worship, and just the things that he would write about, and going to his classes. Even though we didn't have to go to any of the classes, but whenever he was teaching, just he's so full of information.
Yeah.
And I always remembered, even to this day, always go to your grave empty.
Yeah.
All of the purpose, all of your dreams, all of the things that you've ever wanted to do, make sure you do them.
Yeah.
Make sure you touch somebody else. Make sure that those things are done.
Yes.
So when you go to your grave, whether it be early or what some people say is early, too early, or whatever it is, be empty.
Yeah. Give all that you can, because
and live.
We've seen it. Life, Bishop Roderick Caesar says, life at its very best is brief.
Brief. Mm-hmm.
And so we don't know what the span of our dash between our birth date and our end date is going to be.
Right.
And so,
I got two sisters in the grave.
Yeah.
Jamie was 38 when she passed.
And Crystal had just turned
50.
Yeah. Those two I remember
51. She had just turned 51. Remember the party we
had?
Right.
Right.
And then just a few days after, February 1st. So you
Yeah.
gotta go to your grave empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Love,
Love hard,
love.
live hard,
Yes.
and
And live life.
right.
And, I thank God for just even being in this different space that we are now.
Hmm.
Because, like, you can invest all your life to,
Somebody else's dream.
yeah. And
And
you're
miss
like,
your whole
oh my
purpose.
God.
But you miss your whole purpose.
Absolutely. And Ronnie and I quickly found out that our first priority is to our family.
Right.
And we are enjoying our girls.
Hmm.
We do game nights, the four of us. We go away. It's just good. It's good space where it's just not obligation after obligation. After we got to be here, we got to be there. We got to drag them here. We got to drag. So we're enjoying each other as a family because we were imbalanced, to be very, very honest. And we're learning now the value of balance. There's work that has to be done. There's church that has to be done. There's school that has to be done. But then there's also play that has to be
That
done.
has to be done.
And so we are learning, and it's fun to be in the learning stages of balance. So that's been a really, really good thing.
That's good. Excellent.
Yeah.
So go back to the book.
Yeah.
And where are you now with the book?
So excited about the book. Was released July the 10th of 2019 and doing well. Had a book signing actually today. Shout out to the Springfield Gardens United Methodist Church. My God, they came out and came through like champions. I love them. Pastor Cecil B. Stone, you are the man. Thank you so much. But what I want to do with the book now, I want to travel with the book.
Okay.
That's becoming an itch, if you will, where actually I was having a conversation with someone and they said, you almost need a night, and this is in Charlotte, where we sit with the author.
Right.
And you really just highlight some things from the chapters so that we can kind of almost get further into your mind.
Right.
Where you were at the moment when you came up with this quote or, so that's what I want to do. I have had the privilege of presenting the book and even just doing some motivational speaking to some cosmetology instructors.
Okay.
And so that was really cool. I was like, okay, this can go almost in any venue now.
Right.
So my daughter, who's big in ROTC, her first sergeant was like, yeah, I need you to come and speak to these rising cadets. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is incredible. But I find that, as Mother Owita said, each one reach one. And another dear friend of ours, Odette Wills, she said something extremely powerful to me. She said, as you learn, you teach. And so I've learned a lot writing this book. And so I kind of would love, these opportunities where I can talk to anyone, because the book has triggered some pressure points from, oh my gosh, people in their 60s and 70s who have literally said to me, it's as if you've known my whole life story.
Right. Because people carry weights, and I hate to say it, but us Pentecostals, we don't talk to anybody. Us, Holy Ghost believers, we don't feel like we have to, we just got to pray it out, and we got to shout it out and dance it out and cry it out, and we don't take the time to really do a self-check.
Yeah.
And process the stuff that
and
we have
see, where are
been
we?
through.
Where are you?
Right.
And
right.
why do you think this is? And granted, some things are generational. Some things were out of your control.
Right.
But to address it, to look it dead in the eye, which again is that weight of fear. You know, some things you just have to.
And
you
it's
just
been
have
hushed
to
in
look
the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to talk about it because no, shh.
Yeah. yeah. So that's what I am excited about doing. Actually had a conversation with a friend in Florida, and so yeah, I'm excited about this new season.
Okay.
To really,
and what is your publicist? Is this
oh yeah,
something that
my publicist is now an international speaker herself. Shout out to Kim Roundtree. She just did a session in London.
Okay.
And so she was in Canada, she was in London, and so I'm like, yeah, I see you. I see you. I see you. I mean, you've got a few books ahead of me, but
It's the beginning.
It's great to see when others are moving. It just does something for you. It almost like ignites a fire, and it's like, okay. But like you said, you have to be transparent and honest, real and raw with yourself. And say, okay, I've been carrying this too long. I've been carrying this way too long. I've been carrying this extremely too long. Whatever it is. And okay, so it's like AA, right? I am an alcoholic.
Right.
You've got to confess to yourself and really just tell yourself the damage that you know it's doing to you. And yes, therapy is there. I mean, whatever avenues you feel you need to go down, seize it. Seize the opportunities, take advantage of the opportunities, and really, really be on the road to wholeness so you can get back in that race.
Right.
And you can run to your greatest potential.
Right.
Because everyone's stride is different. And that's what, I like to bring and zone in with the book. My stride is not going to be your stride, because my life is not your life. So you'll know either when you are going way too fast, and what that is that you're trying to keep up with something or someone. And you're going to burn yourself out.
Because that's not your race.
Exactly. So be the best you. There is, like I said, I'm enjoying this time. I'm enjoying just talking to people. I've always done that. It's funny, my kids were like, "Oh God, Mommy, do you have to talk to everybody?"
Right?
So,
Gotta close down every venue.
My sweet mommy, that I get it from my mommy. My mother has not met a stranger. She just talks to people. So, but anyway, so that's that. And then I have book number 2. We're starting,
and I get the exclusive. Just give it up. Come on, because I got another question after you give it up. Book number 2.
Book number 2 is called Stand By Passenger.
That's right. Vroom, vroom.
Yes. Can't wait.
Gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. I've been waiting for you to finish so that I can ask this question. What is your favorite chapter and why?
In the Bible?
In the book.
In the book. I would have to say they all are, but it would probably be the last chapter with unforgiveness, the weight of unforgiveness, because I really got to a point in the book where I was stumped and I was trying to write, but I realized I hadn't fully released the weight.
Right.
And so I say my favorite because I really, really remember that moment where it was like, okay, this is more for you than it is for them.
Right.
And so forgive, I heard,
even though it wasn't asked.
Absolutely.
Still.
And I heard it say this way, that you just got to give people a pass to be human.
Where'd you hear that from? Who told you that?
You did.
Thank you very much.
Why? Because each one reach one.
That's
you
right.
went through something,
right?
And so what you learned from your journey
is you have to give.
Just give people a pass to be human.
Because I think sometimes we expect too much out of each other.
Absolutely.
And nobody is perfect.
Absolutely.
And everybody has fallen. Everybody has made huge mistakes. And if we really want to be honest, we shouldn't even spend time talking about each other.
Absolutely.
Because we've all done too much.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a definite, a definite past. And it's just about being human.
I have to give you a quote. It's not in the book, but I remember I was walking and the Lord said something to me and I said, wow, okay. You can't be all things to all people. That's my job. Mm-hmm. And I remember that walk and I just started crying again. I'm sorry. But it made sense in that moment too, and it helped. And really, that as I started really letting the weight go, and sometimes it takes a bit with that gravity, but it was going. By the time I really got it, it was like I could finish writing.
Mm-hmm.
And
once you release that weight,
oh man,
you couldn't run to the end of your own book.
Exactly.
Until you release.
I remember
that weight.
the night. It was 2:42 a.m. And I remember hitting send, and I sent the book to the publicist, and I said, "It's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's done.
It is finished."
I said, "Oh my God, it is done." And then when we started, getting in the phases of the graphics, the book, when the book cover came in, I was like, "Oh my God."
And you
this
started
is
crying
really
again, didn't you?
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "This is really happening." I said, "Oh my God, this is really, really happening." Let me say this, going back to those who did not survive. So a very dear friend of mine, Bernadette Hazel, she passed away back in May of this year. And I remember sharing with her about a year prior about the book. And like I said, I was stumped, and she was like, "Mahalia," we both from Jamaica. She said, "Mahalia, listen now, try finish the book. You have to finish writing the book." And I said, she said, "Because I need that book. You understand? I need the book."
Mm-hmm.
And, just going through that whole process. And I will never forget it, as crazy as it sounds. The night I finished, like I said, I finished the book. And not long after, we got a call that she had passed away because she too battled with cancer.
Right.
But funny enough, the day she passed, the night before, the ISBN number came in for the book. And I remember just crying and saying, "I finished the book, Bernie, I finished the book." So the book is dedicated in her memory. And so, I know you're proud of me, Bernadette. And I finished the book. You didn't get a chance to read it here on this side, but we talked enough about the book that you kind of knew.
She got the point.
You kind of knew. So excited about, like I said, my next up-and-coming book. I don't think it'll take me as long as the first one did, but, live and learn. It's all growing pains. So, yeah, right. I'm excited about all of it. Excited about being at a place where you realize, you know what? There's so much still inside of me.
Absolutely.
You can shock yourself.
Absolutely.
You can shock yourself. And, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for God's grace. I'm grateful for His amazing mercy. And, just looking forward to continue to share, to encourage. I do believe that is I know that's one of my spiritual gifts. I do have the gift to encourage.
Right.
And so through these books and, my opportunities to share, that's what I love to do. I just love to tell people, you're gonna be all right.
You're gonna make it through this.
I promise you're gonna be all right. Once you get you together, you're going to be all right.
Once you can finish working on
Once you just
you
realize,
really don't have a lot of time
oh
to
my
be bothered with
gosh,
nobody else.
there's
You
no
work on
time
you.
to point fingers.
If you work on you
Absolutely.
and get all of that straight.
Absolutely.
Now, I would be remiss to just continue to talk about this book when everybody who knows us and will be looking at this podcast know that we have sung together for 1,000,000 years, if not more.
Yeah.
And they know you have CDs out. I'm back away from that for me personally, because that is still to come.
Okay.
For me. But you have CDs that are out, and there's one that's coming after this book.
Yes. So we are.
And the book, the CD waiting for the book to push through was purposeful.
Yes, it
done
was.
on purpose.
Yes,
exactly.
It was. My husband thought about it, and he says, let's let the book breathe
Right.
on its own for a little bit and not crowd two things at the same time. So now that the book is kind of taking its own momentum, in October, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we are going to release the new single, and it's called You're the Only One. And when it all comes down to the period at the end of the sentence, God is the only one worthy. He's the only one that, if we are honest, deserves the praise. It's
Absolutely.
nothing that we can stand on a soapbox and toot our horns that loud that will still and can ever supersede the praise that he's due.
Amen.
Yeah. Because he's kept us. He's the one that's kept us. We could have been rolling around in all white with hands tied.
Wrapped around us, hugging
Okay.
ourselves, right? Hugging ourselves.
In the finest of institutions.
Now in New York, they closing them all down and
Oh.
just letting them out in the
Oh,
street.
my.
Pray
Oh,
for
my.
us. Pray our
But-
strength.
But yeah, he's the only one worthy. And so we're excited about that one too. So
Looking for
Yay.
great things.
Yay.
Great things.
Yay.
Great things. Well, again, I just want to say thank you for just your time and your testimony, and for saying yes to being here. Not that I would have given you the opportunity to say no.
you would not.
No.
No.
No was not. It's just good timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That you would be
great
here at this
timing.
time.
Yeah,
Just how things. It's
yeah.
about timing. I promise you. All in
God
all, it's
Almighty.
about timing.
It's his doing.
So thank you
right?
again.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we're just looking for great things.
Yeah.
And whenever you want to come back, you got anything else you want to share with us, feel free.
Absolutely.
This is an open forum for you.
Absolutely.
So I love you with all that is in me.
I know, and I love you. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
And we are not going to cry. So
No,
we're gonna end
we
on-
made it. How long have we
We
been?
did
We've been talking for how long? And now one tear.
We are growing. We
are
are
growing, I
maturing. We
promise
are
you.
evolving. This has been it's like right at the
Right.
end. No.
You know, it's like when we leave, we're going to cry. Right.
Get back up in
on
there.
on the
You
train,
get
you're going to
back.
cry when you get to the room. Right?
But this has been fabulous. And
Yes.
I can't wait to see where Triumphant Living is going to soar to. I
Amen.
promise you, people need
To hear good testimonies of making it
transparency is therapy.
through. It is. It is.
So
definitely.
for everyone that will be in this seat, I wish you, my friend, great success.
Thank you.
And I know it's going to be great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Bye.